Hey y'all, out here looking into the past a little bit. Funny thing about time and life and this whole earth, left untended, it'll go right back to what it was. That's an old pea patch I'm looking at. Trees are 2 or 3 times as high as I am, but I remember a day and coming right past when there wasn't a fence here and hitting that pea patch about daylight. Of course, not this time of year, it was just breaking ground, but you wouldn't have found a bit of vegetation on that piece of ground 20, 30 years ago. Got a little busy today, and we'll share a little thought about that here in a minute. But just reminiscing, you can tell it's time to get serious because I got my come and take it hat on. It's just about worn out, really. Busted out from last year. That's what I was wearing when I was cleaning this old place. And so it's either this one or the Lone Star hat, one of the two I usually got on. But I took off to plowing this afternoon, or had some work to do this morning. Still got some more to do business-wise, but got out there and went to plowing, and I remembered something. As we went through wintertime, sometimes it's as many memories as you have. You get busy with life and business and just stuff, and they don't come to you as easy. Well, get out there in that dirt and they'll start coming back when you can get away from this old book of faces. Get a little quiet and some peace and getting it done. They say I was looking through some things and thinking about it, and Dad and I was talking about it, and I had every intention of breaking this big old piece of ground up with that hand plow. And I got 10 foot in here a week or two ago and the handle broke, so we're getting that fixed. But I guess a man's only as smart as his tools, and I could have got it done, but got a tiller, and man, I'm telling you, work smarter, not harder, right? I think we got about a third of it done today. Didn't take that long, but we still got a ways to go, but it'll make quick work on that. It's kind of a cool story behind the tiller. Some of you saw the picture shared earlier today. Funny how connections come full circle, and this one's a pretty special one for me. It must have been 93. I was young and didn't have any sense, but was working as a produce manager, newlywed, and had a son over in Lufkin, Jeremy, my oldest. And a gentleman walked into the Brooksers there, and we began to talk over the next few weeks and kind of form that, customer relationship, if you would. And he was actually soliciting for a multi-level deal, and we've all been around those and seen them, and they come and go. And this is 25 years ago when we might not have been so jaded with them. And we did a little business together for a little while, but it was so much deeper than that. And him and his wife has become lifelong friends. I'd have never guessed if he'd have told me that day that 25 years later he'd have been a close family friend of my mom and dad. And he's been every time any of them's been in the hospital, they've been there, and vice versa. And they see each other at least 2 or 3 times a week and have lunch. And it's just been a really cool connection, because he's just one of those kind of people. Taught me a lot in the ways of business and being true to your word, along with other things. So him and Dad pretty much go hand in hand. But his health has faded, and they're aging, and he's going to be moving out of a home that they built and have loved for a long time, and getting a little bit closer to family down in Central Texas, of all places. And having to liquidate a few things. He just don't have the need for it anymore. He's always had a big garden, and kind of got word of what we was doing up here. Of course, he's been keeping track of me, and we're good friends. And was able to get his tiller. And as I was over yesterday picking it up, kind of moving, to be honest with you. Just thinking back over the time that those memories we've shared and all the life experiences he's been there to witness. He'd come in that day to talk about building wealth, obviously with a company and an opportunity, and we did that. We sure did. got a wealth of a friend in him and his wife, Wally and Patsy. Leave their last names off of here, but I looked at him and I said, Wally, I said, isn't this something? Here we are 25 years later. It started on a produce rack because he was a big vegetable fan and was it still is a good cook. And here we are full circle. I'm getting a tiller from him 20-something years later to break up ground and put in a garden. And just so that tiller has pretty big ties and connection to me. And I'm telling you what, he always had the best, and it made quick work of this old ground. I don't think it found a root or an obstacle it didn't bust through. So it's sure gonna be a blessing. But anyway, that's that story. Lots of details there, but a true friend, and how cool it is to be able to use something off of his place to do some gardening here. But just one of them days, one of them cool days. And I was thinking about him a lot today as we started breaking this ground. Jordan couldn't stand it. He had to come out here and get him a couple of rounds in. He don't know, he's got a lot of that ahead of him. I don't think he watches these, so it'll be a surprise if he ain't sneaking up on me. But I was pulling a root up and something struck me. These old roots that run and run and run, and I've experienced that same thing this week in roots. Some are good and some are bad, you know, when you try to change and do things a little better and improve yourself. You think you pull that root and got it out of your life and it's gone, and then you get to tugging on it like, whoa, it's still a little deeper. It happened on Facebook when I realized it, actually. And I used to be a hothead, and I guess I could have that tendency now. So I'm preaching to the choir, not preaching to anyone. But had a gentleman that I do not know came in and made a comment on a post, and I've been around the block enough to know it was kind of a bait, you know, to get into an argument. And I don't guess I had the root completely pulled out of not doing that anymore, because it struck me, and I started to revert to those old ways of arguing, and I stopped myself. I'm like, well, can't do that anymore. It's just not worth it. You know, that's the thing about it. We all have our own opinions, but it's kind of like when you're married and you get in a little squabble, and you know, your wife or husband or whatever runs to their family and griping about whatever's going on, and then y'all make up, but they're still upset. They don't get to see all the good times, they just hear the bad, right? I think that's what I realized, because so often we argue on Facebook, and I'm sure you have your point, and I have mine, and everybody's right in their own mind, but got a lot in common, and all we do is sometimes argue, and then we walk away and have a misperception of that person. I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think if you had a conversation with them face to face, you might realize that you can still disagree and still be best friends. And I may like cheese on my burger and you may not, right? Spend all that time arguing, don't ever find that out. But anyway, that's free. I'm rambling. But just a lesson learned. Decided to bow out gracefully because it's just not worth it. And that man that I do not know, I guarantee if we was in a situation where our lives depended on one another, we wouldn't care a thing about what we was talking about, because that's not really what's important. Being real and being good, and just being decent humans, that's what it's about, I think. So I'm not going to get into all that riffraff on Facebook and do all that mess. It's silly. I get out here, and if I get upset, I'll just come yell at the chickens. They'll peck back at me, though, or go till up some ground, or dig up a root and keep moving. They're all doing good. I let them out today, so been on chicken hawk watch. Did see a bunch of old buzzards. Boy, they just go right. Look at that. Well, there we go. Sorry about that. I don't know what it was doing. These old chickens. Got a bunch of buzzards in a tree. I got kind of panicked. Came out here, and normally you see a bunch of buzzards in Texas or elsewhere. They're circling something dead, but I think they're just getting ready for mating season or something. Didn't have any dead chickens. That was a good thing. Well, hey, let me do a roll call. I ran on way too long. And see how everybody's doing and where y'all at. People checking in from all over. It's always cool to see. And we'll sign off for the evening. Supposed to get a little rain a little later. Get cold again, but we'll take it. I'm gonna have, I probably should have went a little bit further. That's gonna be a muddy mud pit tomorrow. I may have to stand down for a little bit. But let's see who we got here. Sit down on this old trailer. There's Joanne. Hey, ma'am, how are you? There's Donna. Mike from California, how you doing? Good to see you. Kathy. Yeah, I've wallowed in it pretty good bit today. My fingernails show it on that dirt. It does smell good, Kathy. There's Karen from Lake Fort. It's pretty country. My good friend and brother Mason Hayes checking in from Central Texas. How are you, Bubba? Good to see you. There's Ray Lucas. Boy, many a time in forestry, didn't we, Ray? That was a good time. I'll have to share that story, a couple of those stories for too long. Good high school friend of mine. Good to see you. There's Miss Misty Johnson. How are you, man? All the way up, I think, Texarkana way. Good to see you on. Brenda's in Winnie. There's Caroline. Well, thank you for that. And Peggy Sue buys Shelton. That's a mouthful. That's all right. Thank you. Alabama checking in there. Carolyn Fuller, good to see you. Missouri's not ready for plowing the dirt. I tell you what, this old bipolar Texas weather's got these trees confused. I was over at Dad's place the other day, and I'd miscalled it when I was doing a Christmas video. It's not an elm, it's a red maple that he and I planted there. Not native to Texas necessarily, but it does well. It's already in full bud, so we'll see how it handles this freeze coming. Let's see, there's Terry and Garland and Kelly and Fort Stockton. All right, well, that'll wrap it up. We're up to I think 6 or 7 eggs, so out of 56 chickens, we got a little coaching to do in there, I believe. I think they're missing Al, but shoot, they give roosters away these days, don't they? We may have to get another one and call him Little Al or something. I don't know. I may let y'all name this next one. Well, y'all have a good evening, and I do want to pause. I remember the space shuttle disaster so many years ago. I think I was in Huntsville High School in history class when we got that news, and definitely heroes. Don't want to skip that unless we forget all the advances that space travel and discovery has done for us. Their lives weren't in vain. I'll tell you that. Serving our country. Y'all have a good evening. Be the light, and try to stay off all that arguing on Facebook. It ain't getting you nowhere. You don't even know them people. You don't? You really don't? They probably like cheese on their burger just like you do. Y'all have a good evening and be the light. Talk to you later.